Hi, I'm Clara Rose. Welcome to this week's episode of The Savvy Author. If this is your first time with us, welcome. Join me each Friday as I talk about all of the pieces that you're going to need to be a savvy author. Everything from analyzing your book project to brainstorming the ideas for the content for your book and blueprinting it, which is the industry calls it a book build, but it's about getting all of those pieces pulled together into a strong outline that's going to make sense for your audience. And then, of course, writing, actually getting the writing done. And then we move on to formatting, editing, things of that nature, and publishing. And we don't talk about it as much, of course, but promoting. It's my number 2 requested topic. So we're going to talk about that today. Promoting's super important, of course. And then if you are a returning follower, you have been here before, welcome back, my friend. All right, let's dive right into what it's going to take to promote your book. Now, of course, we're not going to do a deep dive just because we only have 30 minutes, but these are the basics. So get a pen and paper ready and take some good notes. All right, let's jump in. The first thing that we are going to want to do when you're working on the promotion of your book is to plan ahead. Start marketing your book prior to actually publishing. So allow at least 8 weeks prior to the expected publication date. Now, if you are self-publishing, you have a little more control, or hybrid publishing, a little more control over when the book actually publishes. If you are publishing with a traditional publishing house or an independent publishing house, you don't have as much control. They're going to set that date for you. They're going to say, this is approximately when your book's coming out. So just plan for about 8 weeks before that expected due date. And here's a little tip. Don't actually give a live date. Don't say June 1 because it's kind of fluid. Things happen. You don't know how quickly your book's going to be out of a final revision. You don't know how the cover's going to go. You just don't know all of the moving pieces and how they're going to happen. So don't give a date. Just say coming soon or coming in June. If you know that it's going to be in early June, you could say early June. Just don't commit yourself to an actual date because you could get your egg on your face, they say, because it might not come out when you say that it comes out. So just be kind of vague about it, and that works just fine. Okay, but planning ahead, getting started on your marketing earlier, I would say even 6 months prior, you could start talking about how excited you are that your new book is coming out. It's never really too soon to start talking about it. You can't really market and promote effectively until you have a completed manuscript. So just keep that in mind. Marketing is going to require some excerpts and some different things you won't have until the book actually comes together. And by all means, don't start giving out your title of your book until it's set in stone. Especially if you're working with somebody else, you don't have 100% control over that. Hybrid publishing or self-publishing, you do have control over that. But just a word to the wise, things change as you write your book. So don't spring the title on them too soon. All right, let's move on. Another part of planning ahead, of course, is if you're going to do in-person book signings, the location is usually going to require quite a bit of advance notice if you want them to accommodate you. Now, bookstores, coffee shops that have a little bookstore in them, those are beautiful places to have a book signing. A library, use your imagination. You can come up with different places that you might be able to go and have a book signing. If it's a public place, that's best. You don't want to rely 100% on the people that you've invited. If you have the option to have other people's traffic coming in, someone might come in. I love coffee shops with bookstores, partly because I'm a kind of a coffee connoisseur, if you will, and I love books. So those are great places in my opinion. But other people are coming in to look at books. They're coming in to have coffee. So that's, oh, look, there's somebody having a book signing. Let me check that out. So that's a great addition to your book signing. Of course, you're going to be inviting as many people as you possibly can invite to come and see you at your book signing, which is just a great reason for bookstores and libraries and coffee shops to say, sure, we'd love to host you for your book signing. Just know that they book up quickly in advance. It's not something you could come into them and say, next week I'd like to have a book signing here. It's not going to happen. Plan ahead. It's also great for the marketing of the event. So you'll need to be able to say, in June, we're meeting at X, Oasis Coffee Shop, one of my favorite local coffee shops. We're meeting there for the book signing. People who are local will go, ooh, and put it on their radar. Okay, back to planning. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is think about the building of your potential reader audience long before you're ready to publish your book. In fact, I say consider having a book launch team. So you might say, Clara, what is a book launch team? So a book launch team is just people in your audience, whoever your followers are, your fans are, whoever are paying attention to what your message is, which I highly encourage you to have a strong following prior to publishing your book. That's part of planning ahead. If you think, all right, I have 500 followers, or don't be alarmed if you have less than 500 followers. It's not the end of the world. You just need a little bit longer to plan before your book comes out. If you have a few thousand followers, you probably won't have any problem getting people to show up and pay attention to what you're talking about. The fewer followers you already have, the longer you need to work towards that. It isn't enough to come out with a wonderful book. Lots of people have wonderful manuscripts, wonderful, wonderful books that teach wonderful things or offer great advice. We have a book that, I have a book that I wrote last year with a colleague in the UK, 8 Ways to Mind Your Own Business Strategy Mindset for the New Entrepreneur. There are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who don't know that this book exists, but there are a lot that do because I spent the time building up an audience and saying, hey, we have this book coming out, and it's going to help you as you start your business. That's what I'm talking about. You want to build a following. This is part of the planning ahead. What is a book launch team? A book launch team is a group of people from that audience who step up and say, I'd love to help you promote your new book. So as you start talking about in your audience, wherever they are on social media, as you talk with them about your book coming out, say, I am looking for a select number of people to be a part of my book launch team. If you're interested, do X. For instance, I have people send me an email, shoot me an email, or give me a direct message, or however you'd like them to contact you. A really slick way to do it is to send them to your calendar page and set up a link specifically for them that says, if you want to be a part of my book launch team for my next book, click here. And then you're gathering their information. Then you can send group emails to them saying, hey, here's where we are in the process. That just involves getting those people excited about the book coming out. And then they get advanced copies to read, of course, before anyone else gets them. And they become your raving fans that help you promote your book. I can't even tell you the value of a book launch team. In fact, I have a book that I still recommend on a regular basis. I met the author when I was a part of the local NSA, so Speakers Association, and he had a new book coming out and said, I'd love it if you'd be on my team, Clara. And I still, to this day, recommend his book to people that I meet because it's an amazing book. So years, it's probably been 8 years, 9 years maybe, and I'm still recommending his book, okay? That's the power of having a book launch team. So you're going to hear me say it more than once today. All right, let us move on. Tell the world. Tell the world that you have a book coming out. Social media is a must. During your book launch, remember I talked about those 8 weeks, you're going to want at least once a day to be posting something about your book launch. Now, I don't want you to create a single graphic or a single post that you're going to put out there every single day because people will tune it out. So think about this. When you're scrolling through whatever feed you scroll through, and we all do it, right? Most of us do it. Whatever feed you are scrolling through, if you see the same one that you've seen 100 times before, do you even pay attention? You don't. Nobody does. It's because only so much of our brain can have the attention of things, right? So we selectively, not on purpose, but our brain selectively weeds stuff out. Right? Oh, I've seen that before. That's not relevant. Oh, yep, I know that. That's not relevant. So we need to give them something different to look at. I recommend a minimum of 5. A minimum of 5 graphics. I said a minimum of 5 graphics. And then you can put a different one out every day of the week, 5 days a week, and then recycle them the following week, perhaps at different times in a different order. If you really want to do a great job, make sure that you have 5 for each week, 5 new ones for each week, or maybe 10 or 15 that you recycle through. Make sure that you're including excerpts from your book after your book is actually written and you have the content. That's a great way to get some attention, some extra attention, is to say, whatever the excerpt is from the book, and then say, excerpt from, and then your title. Or if you don't have your title yet, excerpt from my new book, coming in June, whatever. It's your opportunity to say, hey, I have something to say, and by the way, it's coming out in my new book, and here's what I have to say. So make sure you're pulling it directly from your book. Could be something that you say normally to your audience anyway. Get it in the book so that you can say, this is an excerpt from, it is about the marketing. Remember, we're talking about promoting today. All right, let's move on. Yes, we're going to tell the world all about our new book in social media, but don't forget that traditional media is your friend. So use TV, radio, and print media to help spread the word. In fact, this is something that you might not realize, but anyone who has to churn out content on a regular basis, they are content hungry. I promise you. Somebody puts out even a blog every single week. They are always working towards, what am I going to say on my next blog? So they're always looking for people, topics, things that they can talk about on their next whatever. Local TV programs, TV shows, TV stations, I should say, always have that section where it's something cool in the community, or did you know, or whatever it is. It's about human interest. So those are the people that you're after. Connecting with them and saying, hey, I have a book coming out in whenever on X topic. And then they can look ahead at their schedule and say, oh, you know what? This would be a perfect time to have you on the show, right? Come out and on the show, or have a station person come out to you, a reporter come out to you. Or if it's in print, they need even more time, right? Print doesn't happen overnight. So if you want to be in something that's in print, likely that it has been months in the making. The editorial calendars are set way in advance. If you want to be in print, unless it's breaking news of some sort, it's going to be tough to get into print. Radio is super easy to get into. It's about knowing the right contacts. So start now building a list of the right people that accept submissions for stories, spots on the radio, spots on TV, whatever it is that you're trying to sell them. That's part of the planning ahead, of course, but it's part of telling the world as well. They are your friends. Don't be afraid of them. All right, let's move on. Last thing I'm going to talk about in telling the world is that live events, like a book signing, are great ways to let the world know about your book. And did I mention that you ought to be considering a book launch team? Did I mention that? Yes, I did, because that's super important. So, as you plan your book signing or an event like a book signing, just plan well to have some publicity toward it. Right? It doesn't do you any good to have a book signing if you don't invite any people. Right? If nobody knows it's happening, the world doesn't know, then nobody's going to show up, which isn't what you want to have happen. You want to have a nice big stack of books with you. If you can get your publisher there with you, that's always nice. Help you with the signing, someone to help you with book sales. It's a great photo opportunity. and it doesn't have to be professional, although you could have a professional photographer come in, but those are photo ops for future marketing of your book. Marketing doesn't stop the day that your book comes out. Promotion doesn't end when you say, I did it, I'm published, I'm a published author, look at me, right? That's not the end of it. In order to continue having sustained sales, you're going to have to continue promoting your book. One of the ways that I recommend that you do that is continued events. Beyond just your book signing up front, find a women's group. If you're a lady author, you might be a gentleman author. Find a group that might be interested in having your book. If you are having a book like this particular book, 8 Ways to Mind Your Own Business, I market that a lot by going to associations where new business owners are, talking to groups where brand new entrepreneurs might be, and talking about my book. So I'll show up. That's an event. I'm showing up, I'm talking about my book, giving people an opportunity to get their hands on a copy if they'd like, but I'm also pulling information that I taught them, or that I teach in this book, or that Debbie teaches in this book about strategy or mindset in your new business, and I give them something. So that's the kind of event I'm talking about. So you're talking about your book on an ongoing basis so that it continues to generate sales. Now, we're not going to talk about it today, but there's an absolute strategy if you're trying to make bestseller. It's very much a moving target. So I just had a client this last week say, how do we guarantee that I'm going to hit bestseller? I'm like, it's a mystery. There's no guarantee. Here's some things that we can do, and we have a checklist that we go through together. Here's some things that we can do to help make that possible. There is no guarantee that it's going to happen. You might choose to publish on a day that another really big name is publishing their book. I'm sorry, they're going to just outdo you, and that's the way of the world. There's no way to predict those things are coming or happening, so all we can do is go through our checklist and make sure that we're doing all of the things that we need to do to have the best success for a good book. And then don't forget that having a great book to start with is half the battle. It's really difficult to promote a book that isn't well written, isn't well edited, the formatting looks terrible. It's just more difficult to sell your book and promote your book in the long run. So, of course, that's the place to start. All right, let's move on before we run out of time today. Make it easy. I can't tell you how many times I see this not happening. Don't make it hard to find or purchase your book. I have, on more than one occasion, reached out to an author and said, I am really interested in getting my hands on your book, but I can't find it, right? I maybe saw an excerpt from it, or maybe I heard somebody talk about it. That happens a lot. Oh, Clara, have you read X? I'm like, oh, no, I haven't heard of that one. And I'm jotting down the name of the author and the name of the book, and then I'm looking for it, and I can't find it anywhere. Make it easy for people to find and purchase your book. Have a Facebook page where you're selling it, or have a page on a website, or if you don't have a website, have a landing page or website specifically for your book, right? Go buy the domain if it's available. Set up a landing page where people can purchase it. Before it goes for sale, it's a great place to market, right? If you like more information about my book, go to X and get on the mailing list so you know when it's coming out. Those are little things that will make it easy for people to get their hands on your book. You could spend a year writing a really amazing book and nobody buy it because nobody even knows it exists. If they can't find it, you've wasted all that time. You are not making a difference in their life with your book, if that's your intent, which of course is always my intent. Make a difference in the world around you. Make a difference in people's lives with what you're creating for them. If they can't find it, you can't make a difference. Okay, moving right along. Make it easy by offering incentives for them to advance purchase or to purchase on launch day. Now, you might say, Clara, I have no idea what incentive I would give. Here's a super simple one. Once you have a hard copy, physical copy, real copy, right, tangible book, have it converted into a digital book. There are lots of people who prefer to read on their laptop or read on their phone or read on their Kindle Reader or wherever they like to consume their content. Lots of people prefer that. Some people like to have both, right? They have like the physical copy. Like I'm one of those people. I want to touch it, smell it. I'm a tangible book person. I love books, right? I have stacks of books. I have a stack of books sitting by my bed that I'm going to read, or I'm reading 4 or 5 of them at one time because I just love books. But if I'm on the go or I'm traveling, I don't take my books. I want a digital version to take with me, so I don't want to not read my books. So that's a super easy one. Another great one that I've had some authors do is bookmarks. I know that seems like an odd, I like bookmarks. People like bookmarks. If they're readers, they like bookmarks. If they're readers of tangible books. Bookmarks are great. I've seen book bags done. So you create a book bag with the image of the book on it and then sell the book in a book bag in the pre-sale. So those are incentives. Or you could say, if you pre-purchase this book, it's going to be signed by the author. So you'll get a signed copy. Lots of little tricks for encouraging people to purchase in advance. Lots of fun things you can do with them. Online parties. I've just seen lots of different clever ways of getting more people excited about your book coming out, and you've given them incentive to do it early. Now, for some people, if you're trying to hit bestseller, it becomes really important that people purchase day of. Right? So you're going to send them to Amazon, or you're going to, and your author page, or you're going to send them to your website, which is they click and they purchase through your own e-commerce. However you're going to do that and promote it, you're going to be sending them somewhere day of instead of giving them an incentive to pre-purchase. Pre-purchases aren't going to count towards your numbers the weekend of or the day of. So you want as many people as possible purchasing when it goes live if you're trying to hit bestseller. It's not going to guarantee that you're going to. And your strategy around your book is going to be unique to you alone. Here's a good example. The strategy for when this book came out, it was about a specific group of people, new authors that we were after, having this in their hand. And we didn't care about the hitting bestseller or, we didn't care about those things. My co-author, Debbie, is in the UK. And so coordinating her followers and my followers to do things at the same time was a bit of a challenge. But so our strategy was about getting people pre-purchasing, getting people to say, I want some of your books for my followers, right? In my business, I want a stack of your books. So we gave people incentives to just do that all in advance. So we didn't care about the other, but we cared about getting our book out into the hands of as many people as possible. So that was our strategy. So you have to ask yourself, what is my strategy? What's important to me as I launch my message? That's why we're here, right? The Savvy Author is all about crafting your message for the world. How do you want to get your message out to the world? What's important to you? If it is to hit bestseller, you're going to have a different strategy than if it's just to get to a certain group of people. Okay, we don't want to run out of time when we're almost out, so let's get through this. Make it easy. Landing pages, websites, website links, social media pages, they should all offer a click purchasing option. Don't make them work too hard for this. You want to send them somewhere where they can just click and buy. Anywhere that you can have a button that they can just click on, that's gold. If you don't have that all set up for yourself, you can just send them directly to your author page on Amazon. And if you're not going to be on Amazon, I think you're missing out on a massive opportunity to get your book out into the world. You need to be on Amazon, and you need to be on the expanded distribution list so that everyone in the world can get their hands on a copy of your book if they want to, as long as they speak your language. I only have books in one language, but I have authors who have books in multiple languages. So you literally could impact the world with what you're doing. Okay. I'm almost out of time, but I have to really quickly say to you, If you are looking for guidance as you promote and publish your book, Promote and Publish, the Savvy Approach to Launching Your Book is the program for you. And I would love for you to reach out to me so we can chat about how I can help you to promote and publish your book. Or it might be that you've already published a book and you're looking for some help relaunching your book. Perhaps it didn't do very well. Perhaps it was self-published and you sold copies to your mom and your aunt. We can talk about how we can change that, fix that, and relaunch your book successfully with the Promote and Publish program that I offer. And I can't leave without doing two things. One, I need to talk with you about the Brainstorm and Blueprint class that I do, and it is starting again soon, where we together capture all those book ideas that are floating around in your head. And then we're going to organize them into topics that are going to make sense to your reader. And then we're going to create that outline for your book. Remember, I said that the industry calls it a book build, but we call it a blueprint. It's just how to pull your book together. And then we're going to create a strategy together for the successful creation and publishing of your completed manuscript. We'll talk a little bit about promoting, but this is really just the strategy from the get-go before you even start to write. And then, of course, we're going to plug you into an accountability group where everyone is getting their writing done. There's no need to do it alone. You can do this as a group. It's more effective as a group. It's nice to have somebody holding you accountable where you pop in once a week and say, did I get my writing done today or my writing done this week, whatever your goal is, to have other people cheer you on and encourage you as you build this book. It doesn't need to be a solitary endeavor, and it's a lot of work. If you've never written a book, you don't know. It's a lot of work, and convincing yourself to get in the seat and do the writing is half the battle, of course. Having a solid blueprint to follow as you create your book is super important, which is why I always end with inviting you to be a part of the next Brainstorm and Blueprint session, the master class that's coming up. And as we run out of time, I want to say thank you to Tampa Bay Multimedia and WeBeam TV, where we are today in the studio, for they truly make this show possible. They bring me here each week so I can help you be a savvy author. I will see you next Friday, same time, same place. Thank you for joining me. Take care.